what we got to say about the world, and this is a perfect ground for just a vent session about the state of things. So
typically, I think on this show, you guys don't get political because it's a Superman show, it's a superhero show. There's not really a need to get political. Yeah, you venture into it every now and again, but the title of the comic we're covering tonight is Cla War, and unless you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years. We're in the middle of a giant class war in the United States right now, and it's never been more apparent than in the last 30 days.
Yeah.
So we're going to get pretty heated, I think, on this episode. We're going to touch on some stuff. You'll probably get a little pissed off. I'm sure we all will get a little pissed off, but
yeah.
If you don't want to hear politics, just skip to the next episode. This one's not for you.
Yep, we're talking about Cla War, which was basically, what if Superman was pissed off about 9/11? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Men of Steel podcast. I'm Case Aiken, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jmike Folson.
What is up, Case? What is up, everybody?
What is up in the sky? Who is that? Who is that over there? There's an ominous figure floating in the sky. Is that Superman analog, the American, floating over there? Yeah, yes, it is. We are having a conversation about a strange piece of post 9/11 fiction, although apparently inspired by not 9/11 scenarios and just sort of came out in the wake of it and just hit exactly the right zeitgeist there. Anyway, long story short, it's a comic that I have had a long appreciation for, and our guest had a long appreciation for. So today we're talking about Cla War, and to have that conversation, we are joined by Jesse Fresco.
Hello, I'm back again. My first recording since Jaguar Sharks wrapped up at the beginning of January. I haven't done one of these in a minute.
I know. The weird part about the podcast time, especially my shows, because we typically record like pretty far ahead, is that you and Hope and like basically everyone from Jaguar Sharks like cameoed and then sort of like retired long before the episode actually dropped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's like we just got to the point where everybody was kind of going off in their separate directions. Hope is now helping to run a nonprofit. She's going to be moving out to, I think, California in about a year or so. So she's getting out of Florida. She's getting out of the hellscape. She's escaping, moving to a blue state, thankfully. And I just got tired of doing reviews for movies and stuff like that, and I've just been exhausted. So I'm currently working on a novel, and that's taking up a lot of my time. I just crossed the 200-page mark. Seth doesn't record anymore. His board died, and he doesn't have time for this anymore. So it just kind of got to the point where it's like, yeah, there's too many barriers to keep going. It's time to call it quits. Like, never say never on returning, but it's unlikely.
Right, which is honestly the case for the comic that we're talking about today, if we want to pivot into that kind of conversation. So today we are talking about the comic Cla War, which was an indie it's not really a miniseries, but an indie series that came out. An
unfinished miniseries.
Yeah, well,
this is not a finished book. This is not finished.
It was intended to be 12 issues.
Yeah.
What came out was 6, and initially only 3. So, Jmike, can you tell in the comic when the switch occurs between the first 3 and then the back 3?
Yeah. There's a no.
The artwork very much changes. You can kind of tell. So, yeah.
Good artwork in both sections, but just very distinct difference.
Yeah, I like Trevor Hairston's artwork. I think his stuff is really good. He did some stuff for Valiant for a while. Rest in peace, Valiant. If it seems like they're about to go up in smoke. And then Travel Foreman came in to finish off the series, which I like. It doesn't really have as much personality as Trevor Hairston, but it's still pretty good. I think the big problem I've always had with Hairston stuff is his eyes. Eyes on his characters always look a little weird to me. They look a little too beady sometimes. That's just my one little niggling problem with his stuff. But overall, I really love his energy. His line work is really strong.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly very strong art in this book, considering the fact that it is a non-public, like it is a nothing of an indie publisher. It's
Does this comic company even exist anymore? Was it ComX?
ComX.
Have they put out anything else?
No, they kind of were done in 2002, or let's see, it was 2008 to present is what on their Wikipedia page, which I think just includes like the reprinting of Cla War.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Which has an Image logo, at least on like one version of it.
I think Image picked up the rights to this and started doing the reprints for soft covers. I think they've got the brand now.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because you'd think that they would at least ask him, hey, you want to finish the last 6 issues? Now's the time. But I guess that Rob Williams is just too busy writing Dread.
I don't know if now is the time, frankly. Like, honestly, like even when the back half of the book came out, like it was already kind of feeling like it was past the exact point where it was like quite as cutting edge as when it came out. Like when it came out, and this is just sort of like, okay, so
there's a lot to unpack with this story.
Yeah, we're gonna unpack on this one. Let's start with like the fun game that we have oftentimes when we talk about a comic series that is a little bit more obscure. Jmike, what the fuck did you think we were going into when you read this?
Well, I think the tagline you sent me was like Superman goes AWOL after 9/11, and I was like, cool. Let's see what this is about.
They hit the Pentagon.
I was like, cool, because like you said that it automatically made me think of like where I was when like all this stuff was going down. Oh my gosh, 24 years ago. And so I was like, all right, cool. Put you back in the frame of mind of what was going on. So I was reading this and I was like, oh, this is kind of like a Jason Bourne type Mission Impossible type scenario where like everyone is trying to like take out the people who know all the answers. And the people who know
the main character is Jason Bourne minus 50 IQ points. I would argue that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one criticism I have, and we'll get to that.
But with superpowers, and that's like a pretty good.
Yeah.
But like superpowers remind me more of Mr. Miracle almost than Superman.
Oh, Miracle Man. Like
Miracle Man, yeah.
Miracle. Oh, yeah, I totally didn't
we will talk about a comparison there because there's a strong comparison that the writer makes between the two series. And once that comparison is made, you're like, oh yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah, because I was like, oh.
So I'm glad that you nailed in on that part. Like you zeroed in on a detail that's like really important to it.
I was like, oh, okay, because like you're like, oh, okay, cool. They're doing a whole like we have to uncover the truth type thing. I'm like, okay, you got me. It's a nice little hook. And then stuff starts to hit the fan, and like it gets really crazy after a while, and his old friends kind of turn into like Watchmen, where everyone is like suspicious about everybody and everyone's killing each other off and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay.
It's very much it kind of leans into the militarization of the superhero. Yeah, there's a lot of comics that spun out of the influence of this. I mean, sure, Garth Ennis was influenced by this for The Boys. Warren Ellis did a couple of books. One was called Black Summer, where a Superman type character marches into the White House and kills the president, the vice president, and the cabinet, and then goes on television and says, I've murdered everybody in the government. We will now have free elections. And then the military just descends on him. Like the military are the bad guys in that story. There's another book called No Hero, another Warren Ellis comic. I hate promoting Warren Ellis comics at this point because he's a fucking asshole. Same with Neil Gaiman. A lot of our legendary British writers
but here's
are
the
awful.
thing. Here's the thing. I like, because like I was like on like tip of my tongue was the Neil Gaiman comparison. Like the Neil Gaiman's so much worse in this comparison.
I know. It's just all of our, if anything comes out about Alan Moore, every single one of these comics that I have on my shelf, I'm just going to take them out to a trash fire.
I know that's the vibe. So the Warren Ellis comparison is valid because everyone compared this to The Authority when it first came out. So this comes out in 2002.
Yeah, The Authority, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's in the wake of The Authority. Now, the writer, Rob Williams, claims that he was not familiar with the series at all, or with The Authority, when he put this book together. And when you look at the timetable for what comics are, like in terms of like how long it takes to like put together a comic book, to write it and then to put it out there, this ends up coming out in the wake of 9/11,
Yeah.
but was written before 9/11.
It happens. It's a weird, wild coincidence. It could happen.
But it was exactly the taste that like the American audience was looking for.
It's true.
when it came out. Like
Yeah.
all of the comic book magazines were like obsessed with this book when it came out. Wizard was like nuts for it. The early websites were all crazy for it. Like there was like this huge interest in this book because it felt like it was catering to the weird feelings that we were all experiencing, because not only is this in the wake of 9/11, it's actually when we're starting to like question all the shit
Yeah.
that 9/11 like stirred up, because like there was the immediate fallout, there's all the patriotism, there's all that like that happens.
Oh yeah, that forced patriotism. Oh my
Right.
god.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Like talk about a weird era for all of us, because
Yeah.
there was this national tragedy that we all just sort of like united behind. And, for a minute there, we're like all easily sold everything. That's when
Yeah.
the Patriot Act happens. That's how all these things occur. And
like
then
banning certain types of music on the radio. Like, are you serious? Like, is this
just
seriously
like
where we're
the
at?
Freedom Fries conversation.
Oh
that
God!
was-
Aren't they trying to bring that back? With,
we're effectively in the spiritual sequel of that era right now, but like,
oh great.
the point is it was a very weird era, and this comes out actually right on the crest of the wave of us kind of having whiplash to it all and kind of waking up to everything, and it felt incredibly raw and
Yeah.
and real and visceral at the time it first came out. And those first 3 issues, which have really good art and really good computer effects, which was so new in comics at the time.
Yeah.
Like the 90s was the era of like first waking up to using computer art, but to really like wake up to using computer like gradients and so forth, like really kicked in with like 99 into the early 2000s. And so this is like an era where like we were hungry for the level of like computer like augmented coloring that was going on here, like effects that just couldn't have been done 10 years earlier in comics, let alone 20 or more earlier. And then you have like this fairly like interesting story with like really cool like big dramatic like action beats. Like the fight with Heavyweight is like a standout in this book.
Oh, that's great. That's such a great scene. Oh God. Fucking punches his jaw off. Jesus Christ.
But it's a tiny book on a tiny, like it probably got more press than like honestly it was designed to get, because of coming out of this like tiny little book, or like this little publishing studio, com.x, that was just like, like it just couldn't sustain itself. Like there's just not money behind the book. And so it only got 3 issues initially. And then 2 years later, it gets the other three issues. And at that point already, it felt like things were no longer up to speed with this all. Like, again, I can't reading this and knowing that this was written before 9/11 makes it insane. But reading this, it feels like such like Team America level of like satire and anger and so it's exactly that, because it's the same moment when it's really coming out. Like Team America is in response to 9/11, and this is actually just like in response to the American machine that 9/11 would just trigger. But it's still doing a similar kind of like satire and scratching a similar kind of itch. And give it a few more years, and it doesn't feel like Team America is a smarter version than this, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like,
I that's the one thing I would say is a negative of this book, is that even the writer Rob Williams, there's a preface at the beginning of this collected edition. Rob Williams, the writer, says it comes off a little naive. It's like, are you telling me the superhero character, the Superman type character, doesn't know that drugs are being trafficked into the United States from foreign nations? You didn't know that. That's been documented that we did that in Vietnam. Like we would, what's called body packing. Basically, they would strip out the guts of dead U.S. soldiers, pack in heroin and cocaine, and ship them back to the States. This was a CIA operation, part of the Golden Triangle. We knew this. We did this. America knew this, and then this would be shuffled onto the streets in order to further slow down the civil rights movement. There's a great quote by John Ehrlichman. I think you know what quote I'm talking about. He was the assistant to the president of domestic affairs under Richard Nixon. This is his quote. You want to know what this war on drugs was really about? The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt their communities, we could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. Go America.
Yeah. And then this gets into the further conversation, which is that we are talking about this comic in 2025.
Yeah, welcome to hell.
Well, there's the state of the world that we're in, but there's honestly the other part of it, which is the state of the world that we're in, which is that we are connected in a way to tools and information and research that we were not up to speed with. Like, this comic feels very adolescent. Like, it's like, fuck, man. Like, America's actually the bad guy, man. Like, check out all the stuff that we're responsible for, man. You know, it has that kind of a vibe to it. Like, someone who's just waking up to the terror that is, like, observing the American machine. Now, considering the fact that it is actually a British creative team.
That another thing is that it's people outside the U.S. criticizing American policy. And Rob Williams even says that this was inspired by a healthy dose of Bill Hicks albums. I'm a huge fan of Bill Hicks. I love Bill Hicks, one of the best comedians of all time. And he literally copies a Bill Hicks joke in this. He literally copies the moment when the president, that at one point looks a lot like Harrison Ford. That was really odd to me. I think he was copying Harrison Ford from Air Force One. He is watching footage of the Kennedy assassination, but it's from an angle you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. That's a Bill Hicks joke. The joke goes, you know, it's probably influencing policy now. Whenever a new president gets sworn in, they get brought into this smoky room with all these, these rich suits. They're chomping cigars, and then somebody goes, roll the film. And then a screen comes down and a video starts up, and it's a shot of the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. That looks suspiciously like that of the grassy knoll. Then the video ends, the screen goes up, and the cigar chomping guy goes, any questions? Just what my agenda is. First, we bomb Baghdad. You got it. That's what he's watching.
I mean, yes, that is basically that scene right there, written out. And then you get into the other half of the sort of inspirations for the Saw, which is Williams claims that Miracle Man, that Marvel Man, and Captain Britain, but that Marvel Man was a huge inspiration. And when you say that, and you get into the whole like, oh, it's actually Nazi scientists who have just done a government project to like create super characters to work on a government team. You're like, yeah, no, it's exactly that. It is a less subtle version of the Marvel Man situation that occurs.
You get vibes of Captain America in there a little bit as well. Like,
well, sure, but I mean, like Marvel Man, like literally has like it's a British like super project. To create a Superman type character like that. So
I do love the part when Jefferson turns into a disgusting monster, and then the scientist goes, "Are you going to kill me now?" Yes, and then he just goes, "Heil Hitler." And I was like, okay, that reminded me of Doctor Strangelove, the ending of Doctor Strangelove, where he's like, "Mein Führer, I can walk." It reminded me of that.
Yeah, definitely like shades of Doctor Strangelove, like crazy on this thing.
Oh god, when the nuke goes off and blows up the entire island, which is called Grenada. I think they wanted to say Grenada, but I think he wanted to change it for the sake of
it's and that's the other part about this, which is that it's like weirdly defanged by doing not real crimes and not real locations.
Yeah, I feel like he really wanted, like you were saying, this is kind of adolescence. Like he's kind of, it feels like it's kind of reeled back in a little bit. If this was written today, it would be real locations, it'd be real crimes. You would see like full on like hate crimes against black people. Like they try to lean into that a little bit, but you can see it's kind of pulled back a bit. Now you could see it being like, okay, this would be much angrier today.
Right. Now, That said, this was exactly what was supposed to be in the marketplace at the time. Like the level of profanity, the level of anger, the level of realism were all appropriate for the era of comics at the time. You know, like this is the same era as like the Mark Millar like authority, where things were like, yeah, we're superhumans testing the limits of like what reality, what dictators are out there, and like what real kind of crimes we can actually resolve. But the actual nations still aren't actually being affected. So it doesn't matter that it's a fake nation in here, as long as it's supposed to represent like real problems that are occurring. The downside is that it's not teaching the reader about real American crimes.
Yeah. I feel like if this was written by somebody with a little bit more tact. I mean, I don't want to say. I know it sounds derogatory. But I love Rob Williams. He's a great writer. He's written a lot of great Judge Dredd stories. But I think he was young and he was brash and kind of finding his voice. If this was written by John Hickman, this would be so angry all the time. Like John Hickman is like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. If you read his early stuff, like the Nightly News, god damn, that thing is pissed off. Holy shit. That is one of the angriest books I've ever read in my life. That and Garth Ennis's 303, which also I think takes a lot of influence from this.
And you know what's fascinating about the Nightly News, bringing that one up, is that specifically that is Hickman with him trying to do a thing within the limits of his like graphic design capabilities. Like
he was doing advertising. He was an ad designer and is like hating his job. And he was like, I want to create something useful and unique and interesting. And so he used his job to create something like that. That's
like,
cool.
Can you imagine if Hickman in that was given the art talent of like Trevor Hairsine? Like that's where, because this is so raw, but it has such great art.
I know it does.
And I'm not trying to be negative about this book. Like Jmike,
it's a good comic. It's good. It feels like it's written by a 15-year-old.
Yeah. So Jmike, what are your thoughts? Because like we have dominated this conversation, and you're the one coming in completely cold to it. Like, what did you think of the 6 issues? Like,
I mean. It was very whiplashy at certain points, because you're like, it starts off with the American tattooing liar across the president's face, or
not
forehead.
Tattooing.
No, he like burns it into his skull.
It with his heat vision.
And then you got like an ex-CIA agent who reminded me of the dude from Mission Impossible, who's kind of like around, and he pops up and like, hey, here's some more information. We got this mission to do. And we're like, all right, cool. But he's like super old and like 2 weeks away from retirement, but he wants to like do the right thing.
Ironically, very close to like the MCU version of Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. Isn't this around the time the Ultimates was coming around, when Mark Millar was working on that?
This predates the Ultimates. Like Mark Millar was doing the Authority still at this point.
Okay.
This
okay.
predates
so this
the
also
Ultimates,
predates,
but
yeah.
I don't know if this predates Ultimate X-Men when the Nick Fury from that shows up. But that's like a young, hip black guy Nick Fury, as opposed to like just being Sam Jackson. Like Sam Jackson doesn't show up until like the Ultimates.
Yeah. That when they restart everything.
Yeah.
Mark Millar also did another comic that also didn't get finished. It was a comic called War Heroes. Did you guys read any of this?
I didn't.
It only made 3 issues. It wasn't great. It had some interesting ideas in it. The idea was that soldiers in the military, they would be put into this experimental program to fight in Afghanistan, and so they would be given superpowers, but you would basically take pills, and it would give you temporary powers. So you wanted to fly, take 1 pill, you could fly for an hour. You want super strength, take 1 pill, you can punch really strong for an hour. And so it was interesting ideas, and the twist of the story that they were leading up to that Mark Millar didn't finish because he never finishes anything. In issue 3, the twist was that the U.S. soldiers were going to sell the pills to Al-Qaeda, and that's where the story just kind of stops because Mark Millar wrote himself into a corner and didn't finish it. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I think I still have the issues in my long boxes in the back, but you can clearly feel like, oh yeah, this is just class war. It's just class war. The way like the same cover of this is used in the 2nd issue cover of War Heroes. I'll try to find it right now. But yeah, you can feel it that this did influence a lot of people, despite the kind of simplistic nature of the overall story.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I can compare this with grunge, for example, where like the rawness is like is a selling part. You know, it's a feature, not a bug to it all. But no, Jmike, like go on, like give us your general thoughts about like the story structure and so forth. Like,
How old was the old black guy? Because like he almost had a heart attack when they were flying back to the States, and I was like, is he dying? Is Nick Fury about to die?
I mean, that's appropriate for a Nick Fury character. So, like, yeah, or rather for like well, actually, yes, for all Nick Fury characters, but especially for a Sam Jackson Nick Fury character, I think that is quite appropriate right there.
Yeah, then you got like his old team was like Enola Gay or whatever it was called. What were they called?
Yes, the Enola Gay.
Yeah. There you go.
Like,
I just dropped the cover for issue 3 of War Heroes into the chat. It's like literally the same image. Like Al Qaeda insurgents, which is a very racist depiction of Al Qaeda on the cover, on the wing of an F-16. Yeah, I don't care for Mark Millar as a writer personally. So, but anyways, the black character that's in this, what even is his name? That's one thing I would say is a negative, that I never really got to know anybody on a personal level.
Isaac.
Isaac, thank you.
Because the CIA agent on the island they go visit says his name a couple of times.
That's right. Yeah, I have a problem remembering characters' names. It's always a big shock when you get to the tail end of the story and the American reveals his name is Bill. Like,
Right.
Okay. I mean, you got him to call him something, but it's okay.
At least
Okay,
better
Bill.
than like Bob or something. But
Yeah.
Can we take a pause and talk about the American as a character for a second?
What character?
Yes, he is very much a what if Superman was an American agent character.
It's spinning off from The Dark Knight Returns, where Superman is basically part of the military.
Yeah, or doing like a super soldier, like the Amalgam character.
Yeah.
But here, and actually, I think that's like very apt because it's a person given superpowers who serves the American machine for a while there until he ultimately breaks away. All right, so his powers are basic Superman powers. He's super strong. He's super fast. He can fly. He has heat vision. He is stronger than everyone aside from Heavyweight, they establish.
Yeah.
That Heavyweight's like raw power is stronger than him. Icon is like somewhere kind of close. I dig his costume is what I'm trying to get at ultimately. I think it's pretty fucking cool.
The American?
The American costume is a mostly white bodysuit with a blue stripe on the right side of his body, and then like this like star pattern that comes out of it that by virtue of being in the white is represented as negative space when it enters the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually really cool. Like, I think that design for a character who is a Superman type doing this like white and blue costume, like that's a pretty cool costume, especially of this era. Like, think about this being in the same era that like Apollo and the Midnighter were introduced.
I was just thinking Apollo.
Design.
It's Apollo taken one step further.
Yeah, like it's a patriotic Apollo. And I think that it's really cool in that regard. I think that it's a really fun design for the character. In terms of like what's going on with his background, fucking nothing. It's Captain America, but he's Superman. Like that's it.
Yeah, we don't really get a lot of personal backstory. There's like one moment where is it confusion? The sort of psychic of the group like kind of twists his brain for a second to show that he had a brother, and his brother died of a heroin overdose, and it's like a page. That's all the background you get, really, of the character. You don't get much else. You don't really know like likes, dislikes, personal interest. There's no downtime scenes.
Yeah,
and I understand
you get the most with Heavyweight, actually.
Yeah. Oh man, Heavyweight's a really
like there's a whole issue
character.
about Heavyweight.
Yeah. It kind of feels like it's that was done as mainly as more of a political statement than as just character development.
Well, I was hoping, or at least I was thinking when this first came out, that the book was going to do issues that were dedicated to the members of the Enola Gay.
Yeah.
I feel like that's initially.
I feel like that's what would have happened had they gotten issues 7 through 12.
Right, basically. And so instead, we just got this Heavyweight issue, which Jmike,
Hmm?
I don't mean to. How do I put this? Jesse and I are really white. and like,
It's okay. You can call us crackers. It's fine.
so like the heavyweight issue is like written by two Brits trying to be like real about American like urban society.
Yeah.
And like, it's bad.
I mean, it's not like typical like Japanese anime character bad. Like they have the black characters, like the pink lips and everything. And you're like, what is happening here? But like,
yeah, that's worse. That's worse.
Hey, yo, what's going on? What you like? But like, I kind of understood where they were coming from. Like I'm kind of used to it, so it's kind of it glosses over until you come back like an hour later. I'm like, wait a second, what was that about? But like
you can't just say I'm kind of used to it and like let that be like the justification
it
on this
happens
one.
so much,
Like,
Case. You're just like, okay,
Christ. I understand that is the truth. It doesn't make me like feel less uncomfortable with the whole situation.
Well, yeah, you're like, oh man, black kid, a terrible community, grew up with his mom in the projects, was like no money, and his dad was like around just to take money and abuse his mom. But he found his way by boxing. And you're like, okay, cool. And then he got really good at boxing and he became a champion. And then he got even more of a champion. And his dad showed up one day and he beat the ever-loving crap out of his dad in the alleyway. And then he got super soldiered. And then he goes back to his old community and the kids are like, oh man, this is so cool. You're that one guy who showed us how to get rich and lead the community. And he's like, yeah, that's me, kid. Until he meets the older black guy who's sitting on the stairs. Like, I remember you. You were that knuckleheaded kid who used to run around here getting into trouble. Stop feeding his kids these lies. I was like,
Yeah, no, it is Mike Tyson as a super soldier.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. You know what the better version of this character's arc is? A Train on the Boys.
Kinda.
I'm gonna let Jmike. He had the pause there, and like I don't know if I'm allowed to respond on like is that better or not? I don't know. Like
I'd say it's more in depth. You get a lot more. Personal
it's
stuff.
more in depth.
That's the thing is that
like what is 4 seasons now that they've dealt with the character versus
but they set it up here like you were going to get more, so you were kind of like expecting more, but they cut it off at like him throwing money to the kids and getting his car and driving away. And the kids like, yeah. And
right.
And I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get more? No, that sucks.
Christ. And it's rough because this is the character who ultimately is like the one character who we can confirm actually is dead. Besides Young American.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's the one guy that doesn't survive. You can see it in the very end.
Yeah,
the shield around them cut off his head. Yeah. It's like, okay. Jesus.
And it's like, wow, him and not the Manchester Black knockoff.
Wow.
So close.
Other direction. Like Manchester Black, probably a knockoff of Burner, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
God.
I was like, wow, this guy is really trying so hard to be Manchester Black, and I was like, wow, this is getting kind of annoying now.
All right,
but apparently this came out first.
35 minutes into this episode, but we should probably back up for those who are not familiar with what we're talking about to at least like explain the structure of the first 2 issues, because we already are deeply into the second issue, and then kind of go through the 6 issues that actually came out. So the miniseries, the series Cla War, which came out initially in 2002 and then was completed in 2004, came out in 2 chunks of 3 issues and then 3 issues. So the first 3 issues, the first issue is the Superman type character realizing that shit is bad and that America has been the bad guys. Mm-hmm. And then stealing, who is credited on Wikipedia as George W. Bush, but is just the president at the time, and using his heat vision to brand the word liar into his forehead. That's basically what happens in the first issue. The second issue is this like encounter with the member of the Enola Gay heavyweight, who is supposed to be like Mike Tyson but with superpowers, and is like
a Luke Cage type of character.
Yeah.
Sure. But Balrog from Street Fighter, you know, like
Balrog from Street Fighter. Yeah, you're right.
And he's the protector of like the drug money that's like moving into the streets and so forth. So the Superman type character, the American, has a really good fight with him. Like a great fight that ends with a fucking brutal, like punching his jaw off sequence there.
I think Garth Ennis would then parody in his comic book, The Pro. I don't know if you've read The Pro. He parodies that where if you never read The Pro, I encourage you to do so. It's his take on Power Girl, which, by the way, it's coming back. Apparently, they are doing new issues. Garth Ennis is writing new issues. Yeah, I talked to Jimmy Palmiotti at New York Comic Con last year. They're doing new issues. Yeah, so apparently she's a prostitute. That's why it's called The Pro. And she gets superpowers. And she's one of the guys that she's servicing, one of the Johns, gets a little handsy, and she doesn't realize it, and she, I think, punches his jaw so hard his jaw flies off. And it lands on a ledge, and the cover of like the third issue is just that guy's jaw on the ledge, and down below you can see the cops taking him away to the ambulance, and the cop goes, I think you'll just have to learn to live without it. You can't find it. It's a great comic. And the prequel miniseries is things I can't mention on here. it's the I can't mention it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about The Pro at some point. I might say we should probably have someone who is femme identifying for that one.
You could probably get Jimmy and Amanda to jump on. Like, they're always active on social media.
Also a fair scenario. So we'll
just get them.
We'll see what happens in terms of conversation about that, because The Pro is definitely one that we want to talk about. But let's keep talking about Class War, because I think that Class War is a fun series, even though it only ended up being 6 issues. So issue 3 picks up in it's
Glenada?
Yeah, Glenada. So we deal with this whole thing about the American kind of remembering like the biggest fight he ever had prior to his fight with Heavyweight, which is against a Russian superhuman who is very Big Ben-esque in terms of, if we want to make the comparison with the Marvel Man, Miracle Man scenario.
It's Russia's counterpoint to the American.
Right, but the American is so much tougher and just whoops the fuck out of him.
It's going into the idea that you're engaged in this conflict with this person, but the question is why? For what? For who? It's the soldier waking up and realizing that their commanding officer is actually the real enemy.
Yeah, so
which
issue 3 is a bridge issue, and the only reason why it's worth us like spending much time talking about is that the story arc is broken up weirdly with issue 1 through 3 and then issue 4 through 6. Issue 3, like, the American and Isaac deal with like a spy. We deal with Icon, who is like their Wonder Woman equivalent character, talking about how like she can barely feel any kind of pleasure as she like fucks random like
Hollywood actors.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I got vibes of I think Ed Brubaker reused ideas from that character for his series Sleeper. The main character in that story can't feel any pain, so she's an interesting character. I don't know if she's completely developed enough. Like we said, most of these characters don't actually get enough character development. No. I mean, I understand it's a miniseries, but it really would have behooved them to just take a little time, just to have one scene of that crew just kind of hanging out and just like a downtime scene.
Yeah,
as we refer to it.
I mean, they use the shorthand of like, it's the superhero team and they're Justice
Or
League.
they're not superheroes. They're super deterrents.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the big twist. Yes, they're deterrents. They're not weapons. They're deterrents. Yeah, as a means of not making it sound less formidable.
So issue. Well, and then the other big like plot thread is the introduction of then the like Nazi scientist who is going to like power up our CIA agent type character, and or like
is he CIA? I felt like he was Secret
he's
Service.
Secret Service.
Yeah,
like he's Secret Service like in his final form, but like I don't know. He like
That's a nebulous one.
Yeah.
Secret Service. Yeah, Secret Service. CIA is just like my default when I like talk about American spooks. But he's a spook. He's an American spook. Like whatever he is.
Yeah. Guy in sunglasses with an earpiece.
Yeah. No, we jump in art style, and it's again still good art. Like I really don't want to like bash Travel Foreman. Like I think it's I think it looks really good. It's just a very different style.
It still has energy. It still has very good energy.
Yeah, it has great energy. Just a very different style. But very cool energy of like the American like fighting planes. Like we've got like more scenes of the Enola Gay being weird. We've got this whole like government program to like set up the spook to be like super powered. And he's like weirdly mean to the Nazi super scientist. And like, not that like the Nazi super scientist needs like to be nice. Like you need to be nice to him, but where it's just like, oh, by the way, you thought that the first like 400 of the patients were doing so as volunteers. They actually were lied to. Ha. And it's like, why were you being mean to the guy? Like, there's no point.
I mean, it's juvenile writing. It's like, oh, he was a Nazi. It's being mean to the Nazi. At this point in 2025, my response is, yeah, fuck Nazis.
Sure,
that's my response. But at the time when we're reading it, we're like, do you have to be a dick to him?
Yeah, because the way he's being a dick to him feels like particularly like, oh, by the way, like you were so sensitive about everything. We like spared you the details about like the victims that you like assaulted in this whole situation. Yeah. But actually, fuck you, because your feelings matter, and so we're being a dick to you in a way that your feelings matter.
It was really weird writing for that.
Yeah, like we've said, this does feel a bit adolescent with its writing sometimes. I mean, I know that Alan Moore doesn't like his Watchmen comic anymore. I know he's got as far away from superhero stuff as he possibly could. Imagine for a moment the world where Alan Moore wrote this. How different is it?
Yeah. I mean, like, oh man.
It's the difference between a seasoned, eloquent writer and a young, like, grunge artist. Like, this is a guy that's like popping on the scene. Like, he even describes, I think Cla War now reminds me of a rock band whose first album is all 4 chords: shouty aggression and irony-free distortion. Totally true.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I'm not trying to be negative about that fact. Like, it is purely the emotion of the time that it was created in.
This hit at just the right time.
Right. And is fun to revisit. But I'm curious, like, again, going back to Jmike on this one, like, you're visiting it in 2025. What was that experience like?
I was like we said earlier, like, a lot of the writing is very juvenile. Because like he goes out of his way to be a dick to the guy for no freaking reason. Like, the guy has every opportunity to like mess up his experiment just to dick around with him back. But he's like, oh, you thought the people that were coming here were just for you. No, we told them they were testing out flu shots. Meh. Like the evil guy twirling his mustache, like, meh. We're the assholes.
Right?
It like walking into a room and seeing a big fat guy with a mustache chomping a cigar. It feels very cliched.
Yeah, you're just like, okay.
But now, you look at it now, it's like, who's in charge of the United States government? It's Elon Musk. It's these cigar chomping assholes behind closed doors. Like, that's the cliche became a reality. it's so fucked up. Weird reading this now. It's like, goddamn. That brings up another problem I have with the book. It's called Class War. Is there ever actually a real discussion of class and war in this?
No, I mean, I know where the name comes from. Because it comes from class
It's
warfare.
not really a class war. It's more of a revolution, or at least the beginnings of a revolution against the United States government.
Yeah. No, that's a incredibly fair point. Like there isn't.
It's called class war. There is no class war.
At most, the character of the American is supposed to represent the American people against the hierarchy that pushes them into this like endless cycle of wars that we were so aware of in 2002.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, people had known prior to 9/11 the things the United States government was doing, like the things the CIA was doing, trafficking heroin and cocaine onto the streets of Los Angeles and New York.
But talk about a wake-up call.
Oh yeah, it's like or the prison system, the for-profit prison system, the way that was tied into that. Like I just recently saw a report from, I can't remember who the guy is that runs it. He runs a company. What the fuck's the company's name? God damn, I just saw it today. It's the guy that runs one of the for-profit private prison systems, and he said everything is going fantastic. We're going to have the best uptick in our profit for this year. Oh, you mean you're going to imprison more people for bullshit crimes?
Yeah.
Like I just that's
or
really
we're going to treat the
all,
prisoners worse. Like
we're going to treat the prisoners worse. Like that's where we're at this point. Like this, it's amazing how in 30 days you can undo 70 days of regulation. It's amazing how, or 70 years of just regulations. It's amazing how you can just do that like that, and no one's stopping them. And that's I think if you had released this today, it would be aggressive and angry. Like he wouldn't have branded liar into the president's head. He would have just killed him.
Yeah.
He would have just straight up murdered him right there, just dropped him, be like, fuck you, asshole. It would have been that. Like the aggression that we're feeling today. Reading this now, I did feel like, wow, that is really pissed off and angry, and it did reflect how we felt appropriately after 9/11.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though that was the point where America kind of like split right down the middle. Half of us went to the side of full patriot, kill every motherfucker that's not us. And the other half were more reasonable and said, hey, did we do something to piss them off?
Well, and in a lot of ways, like a lot of people went full patriot and then like bounced back once it was sort of like, wait, this is going too far. Are we the baddies?
Yeah.
Are we the bad
It's
guys?
that Mitchell and Webb
Yeah.
bit. Are we the baddies?
So I want to shout out I want to shout out a video that like this series just makes me think of like nonstop, which is Lindsay Ellis did this great video on post 9/11 music probably about 5 years ago now, so it was like around like 2020.
I think I've seen
Yeah,
this.
and a big chunk of it is like talking about it like American Idiot, but like it's talking about like the music of like the post 9/11 era. And I think that there is a lot of similar sentiment where this is in response to the angry American, you know, like they will put a boot up their ass.
Stadium country music. Country music prior to 9/11 was anti-establishment, anti-American. It was not like the brusque patriotism you hear now. It was very the opposite.
Yep.
It was very much the opposite. It was your Willie Nelsons, your Johnny Cash. It was very much anti-government in many ways. It was more about the individual having their full rights. And now you look at it where it is now, it is
Completely off the rails.
oh, it's the opposite. It's like, who was it that sang at Trump's inauguration? What's her name?
Carrie Underwood, which is
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Oh God, she later said, "Yeah, I regret that." Oh, really? Did you give the money back?
Looking at you,
No.
Snoop and Nelly and everyone else who performed there.
Yep.
Oh, and Snoop Dogg was the biggest. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, you are out. That was the most disappointing one to me. It's like, yeah, you're out, Snoop. Sorry. So, but yeah, like after 9/11, it's like all the music that changed, all the films that would come out.
That the 9/11 ruined everything memes that would like kind of like
Oh
permeate.
God. Video games, like every video game, brown and dusty, pro-military. Like, this is the Call of Duty era. Like, this is when Call of Duty went modern warfare.
Oh God, I have to look up the name of this thing.
So it never stopped.
You know the spiritual sequel, or like not spiritual, like the sequel effectively to Too Many Cooks.
There's a sequel to that?
It's not. Yes, it's called Final Deployment 4 Queen Battle Walkthrough. It starts off as a Twitch like stream, like walkthrough of a video game, but it goes from like the first level is fighting the aliens to the second level is the troops come home and have PTSD. And as a video game, and it's a Twitch walkthrough of this video game. I'm going to send the link to you right now because it's great.
Please do. This sounds great. Wow. Oh man,
because it is great. But it's we're kind of in the same ballpark of that at the moment as I guess what we're getting at here.
Oh Lord, yeah, we're all gonna have PTSD after this next 4 years. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, yeah. But yeah, this comic hitting at just that time where it was the 9/11 spirit of, man, America's really not the good guys, are we?
No.
And if you really break it down, any nation that establishes itself as an empire, probably not the good guys.
Well,
probably not.
But that's the thing, which is that the American empire has been extremely good at doing a thing that most empires do, which is that they relabel like their concept of war and their departments of war into departments of defense. And they say they have defensive wars. They have wars to protect their borders, et cetera, and that these always end up with expanded borders or with new territories that we take over.
It's not a war for territory, it's a border conflict.
Right. It is a protective thing. It's a police action.
No, you're shooting people in a building, okay? That's what you're doing, damn it. Jesus. Yeah, the rejiggering of language for the sake of trying to make it appeal to American people. God, that makes me want to puke.
Yeah.
It really makes me want to puke. I hate it so much. It's just, oh God. Yeah, it's that's if they were to ever bring this comic back, I doubt they ever will. I doubt Rob Williams would ever, like, I mean, he's successfully employed. He's doing well for himself. I don't think he'll ever make a return.
I don't want them to bring this back. Like,
I could see.
It was it was already feeling it when it came back in 2004, and that was only 2 years later. And like 20 years later, like, it's just going to feel like a period piece.
No, the way you do it is that you have it start out with America being completely destroyed. You start out when it's like, oh, the apocalypse happened in America, and it's like, did you guys watch that movie Civil War? That Alex movie that I didn't like.
I did not, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah,
I did not like it very much because like it's an apolitical Civil War movie. How did you accomplish that? So Nick Offerman plays the president in the movie. Guess what the president's name is?
What is it?
Just
the president.
That's it?
They didn't give him a name. They just said, "Oh, he's the president." What political party is he a part of? What are his beliefs? Like, don't know. It's a Civil War movie where he doesn't make a point about the civil part. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, if you were to ever bring this series back, have it start out with like the war is over and it's just the American versus whatever's left. Like, everything's been leveled. Like, Washington, D.C. is a crater. Like, there's nothing left. That's where you'd pick it up, because it ends in a point where the American and Isaac are going to go off and they're going to start a civil war. They're going to go and start a war. That's where you'd pick it up. You pick it up after the war is over. Well, now what do we do?
Well, I mean, I think Icon would have been on their side at the end of this, too, because she nearly got nuked.
Or she ultimately, like, the holdout.
Trying to decide which side she's going to be a part of.
We know who's not going to be a part of the war when it happens.
Yeah, because I feel like Icon as a villain is more interesting here, right?
Icon. So Icon as a villain is interesting because she's the one woman in. Is Confusion a woman, or is it more of a non-binary? Not quite
at the
clear?
time, definitely a woman, at least in terms of like who was writing it and who was thinking about this. In terms of where we would be thinking about it today, different conversation, is coded with some non-binary stuff going on.
Yeah. So if for the sake of looking at it in 2025, we'll say Icon is the only like woman of the team. As the only woman of the team, you can see that her outfit definitely fits a sort of misogynistic appeal that appeals to the male gaze. Like, she wears high heels, like in a combat suit.
Yeah, and like we have like male gazy sequences, like with her like sleeping with the Hollywood celebrity that is unnamed in there.
Yeah, and her towel falls off and she's standing there naked and she just drops him into the pool below. It's like, it definitely feels like she's very fed up with the system, and yet she's drawn as if she's a part of the system. So I don't know. That feels a little adolescent.
Right. Yes. There's a lot of like ooh, I am very intelligent here.
Yeah. I'm so smart. So yeah, just draw them like, normal people. The one sequence I always go back to when you try to portray like a woman and just to be normal and not like be sexualized. Do you guys ever see the film adaptation of 1984?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the like from start to finish, but I've seen like a lot of the movie.
Well, the woman that's in the Julia character, when the two of them have sex and they hook up for the first time, they're just hanging out. She's just walking around naked and she hasn't shaved or anything, and she's just walking around. It's like, it's not sexualized at all. Like, that's the way you portray women, just like as normal people. Just like, just walking around. It's like, it's not that big a deal. A lot of French films do that as well. British films, like nudity and sexuality in European culture is considered completely okay. You can see nudity on television all the time. They typically will cut around things like violence. They will cut around that stuff. That stuff's given more of a negative reception than sex and nudity, because hey, they're not oppressing their people in a very religious manner. So whereas we are over here,
right? Meanwhile, this is a comic where it is a titillating like a level of like cutting around the nudity in this whole thing, whereas the violence is
to
given,
get it
like,
into the American market.
right, whereas the violence in this is like given like full action, like splash pages, like
yeah, I mean, literally punches a guy's jaw off.
right.
Yeah. I do kind of wonder what the Garth Ennis version of this would have been. I'm just like mildly curious what it would have been like. Like probably even angrier, I guess in some ways. I mean, we kind of get it with the boys a little bit in certain points with the Homelander backstory.
Yeah, like I feel like it's so adjacent to the boys.
Yeah.
That really it's just a matter of like the different art styles between like Derek Robertson and like like the team that worked on this.
Yeah, that feels very much more specific and calculated, where this just feels like young guys just sprinting for the finish.
Yeah. And like again, like while they're not familiar with the Authority supposedly when they were working on this, like that's what was in
American comics at the time were received over there, but they weren't received constantly.
I just mean like that's what was in the zeitgeist, like the movement towards big screen style, kind of like widescreen effect, like art style stuff is what like where the art zeitgeist was going at the time. Like comics in general were doing that, regardless of specifically the Authority, which was like the example of that in the mainstream at the moment. So like this is a comic that is doing widescreen action and it's political satire, but frankly, when it came out and the nature of it all and so forth, it probably was a little too subtle of a political satire that was going on.
Yeah.
Like it's a little too just like blunt and raw for where we were all feeling at the time.
I mean, he even admits that. Rob Williams admits, like, yeah, it's a little naive and blunt and straightforward. Like, he even admits it. Like, he was his first thing. It was his first comic. So he was kind of getting some anger out of his system at the time. So it's like going back and listening to George Carlin's early albums. It's like you could see the seeds of what he's doing there, but it's not quite there. And then you get to like 7 Dirty Words. And it's like, there it is. There's the George Carlin I know. And then he just gets on and on and on, better and better and better. And then towards the end of his career, his work it wasn't as good because his wife had passed away and he was just bitter and angry at the world. But if you really boil this down, the intentions are good. To make a comic that was taking the Superman archetype, and you know what it is? Remember when Zack Snyder said, what if Superman just like said, hey, I'm just going to rip the roof off the White House and just attack the president? Like, yeah, this is that scene.
Is that comic. Yeah.
This is the thing that he promised in Batman vs. Superman and didn't do because he wussed out. Like, it's the thing that he said he was going to do, and this actually did it. He literally rips the roof off the White House, goes in there, grabs the president, and takes him up into the sky and threatens him to his face. Like, what are you going to do to stop me? Because even a nuclear warhead at the end of this story doesn't kill the Americans. So for all we know, he's invincible. He can't be killed.
Pisses him off.
Yeah. I mean, that's the situation we're in here. I mean, like it's the interesting situation of this book where we have someone who's allowed to be a Superman level character and allowed to wage war with like the American government and an American machine that is able to create characters like Icon and the American and Jefferson, so it's left as a we'll see how this goes kind of like cliffhanger, but the American is apparently really tough, but we know that, like, at least from his own internal monologue, there are things that can defeat him that are out there, and so he has to like play his cards right in all these situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they do imply that the Jefferson character will rise up and essentially destroy the world. Confusion sees that future and sees like Jefferson like trouncing through the streets as this mongoloid beastly monster. There's nothing the American can do to stop it. So I mean, I guess that's what they were building towards. I mean, who knows? It is a shame that Jefferson and the American never ever cross paths.
Yeah,
that's the one big opportunity that they missed. Is that
but here's the real question about the entire series, which is this series better that it is unfinished?
That's a hard one.
I mean, like we've said, this does feel a bit juvenile. If it kept going into like juvenile stuff, I think we would feel less enthusiastic because we've been dunking on this thing a lot. I quite like it. It is good.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot too. Like that. Yeah. That's the wild part about this series as a whole. Like Cla War gets a lot of like attention by virtue of the fact that it struck a chord exactly when it came out that resonated with people in general, because we were all feeling a little weird about like post 9/11 American brouhaha, and this seemed to be, we're doing a comic the way the good comics that are coming out right now are like, but it's about like your discomfort with America, and that's what came out. But again, I think even by the time that we're getting into the second half of its batch, it's already feeling a little bit weird. And it's just because it's been so many years. And like, I don't think it's a series that could stick the landing. And I think it's a series that like has this like legend associated with it because it's unfinished.
Yeah, I could see both. I could see both angles. On the one hand, it does have this prestige level to it because it is unfinished. It ends in a place where, like, the American and Isaac are going to go off and they're going to live to fight another day. Like, they're going to keep the fight going. Like, inspiring to if he is a symbol of the American people, it's like, don't ever stop fighting. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. Don't ever give up against, this twisted government that's taken over your country. But on the other hand, there is a part of me that's kind of like, you know what? Considering where we are right now, and this is essentially, when it all boils down, it's a power fantasy. It's a power fantasy of what happens if Superman actually does the thing we want him to do. Take down the real bad guys.
So the question is, how far can you take that? Like, issue 1, he burns in the president's head the words liar.
Yeah.
How much further can you actually take that power fantasy is the question. And stick the landing. Like, can you stick the landing? Is this better because it only allowed for so many issues before it was just sort of like, unceremoniously, like, killed off, but it was killed off in a way that was like, delayed over several years kind of process.
Yeah. I think you could do a follow-up that does take place years later. I think you could do it. It's just a matter of, does anybody want to do it?
Right.
Because I'm sure Rob Williams doesn't want to do it. He would have done it by now.
Oh, for sure.
He has control of this character and this brand. He's very well established as a writer now. He's doing just fine. He's working on Judge Dredd. He's just fine. I think now that we're in the middle of a literal class war right now in the United States, to the point where we've always kind of been in one since the 1960s and 70s. We've always kind of been in one. Now, in the last 30 days, we're recording this on February 16th, 2025. The last 30 days has been a living nightmare, if you just, to put it bluntly. And so when you really think about it, like, I could see a return to this. Just now that he's an experienced writer, you could come back to this and maybe put a little bit, smooth it out a bit, make it not so in your face, add a little bit more intrigue to it, have it take place after Jefferson does his apocalyptic trounce through DC. Kill off the characters you don't want to do anything with, bring back the ones you want to work with, and go from there. I could see both angles of, it's great because it was not finished, it has a prestige to it, but on the other hand, it's like, you kind of promised 12 issues, and we're in the middle of a literal class war. Now's the time. So I could see both angles. So, but it's up to Rob Williams, and I don't think he wants to come back.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jmike? Do you think this should come back?
No. Like you guys said earlier, it gives it the mystique of like, oh man, what could have been? It's so cool that, we have all these great ideas, but like, it wasn't honestly going anywhere. To be fair, it wasn't going a lot of places. Unless they like you said, seriously rewrote a lot of things. Like, personally, I would take it like the Public Enemies route, where the president's kind of crazy. And you've got the president, you've already got your crazy sidekick, Metallo, and you could have American and Isaac going up against everybody else. And eventually Enola Gay comes to his side to help him out. But, like, you got to have some kind of threat that's not
I hate
the president
how
of the United States.
Good a pairing in terms of reading order, this and then Public Enemies, the Superman, Batman, Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, like, crossover book.
You'd have to, like,
that actually works really well in terms of just like general vibe of things. And read this, then read that, and then you're in a good space.
God bless America. God bless me.
It's a fantasy that is the exact opposite of what is the current state of reality is the problem.
Yeah. And that's something I've been kind of feeling in the last 30 days is I feel like at this point, the world doesn't need Superman right now. It needs the Punisher. That's kind of where we're at. After the CEO got shot, everyone was like backing that Luigi guy. Everyone, like the entire country, well, majority of it at least, was like, yeah, fuck that guy. That's awesome. Great. The excuse for why you should never do that is like, well, that guy had kids. And my response is, well, what about the millions of kids that got denied their health insurance so that guy could buy a yacht? It's like, that's where we're at. It's like, it's a complicated issue. I saw after that shooting, a comics friend of mine, Joshua Dysart, who is an avowed pacifist, works with the World Food Program. He's worked with the United Nations. Even he put out a video on his YouTube channel saying like, yeah, it kind of had to happen. Like, this is a pacifist saying this. And that's where we've landed in the political zeitgeist, is that the world doesn't really need Superman. God help this Superman movie that's coming out in July.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's sort of what my response to your statements are at the moment, of like, well, let's see how the Superman movie does with the public and in terms of like how we're like responding to the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's still 5 months away. As we've seen in the last 30 days, a lot can happen in 30 days. We'll see what happens in 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly makes it complicated to talk about the Superman archetype and exist in a world where like anger is the power fantasy as a whole, because again, when that's the situation in your first issue, you're breaking down the White House and burning the word liar into the president's foreheads, and where do you go from there becomes the question. And like, yeah, you can fight superpowered Mike Tyson, but after that, like, where do you go after that? And there's only so much you can really do with the story.
I mean, he did kind of write himself into a corner. I think the direction he should have done with the American, had he got his issues 7 to 12, the American would step into the background and become more of a military general and would lead the public to rise up. It's like, I can lead you, yes, but it needs to be your choice to rise up.
So like an inverted version of like The Dark Knight Returns.
Yes. I'm here to lead you, but it has to be your choice to join me. It's like, I can't force change. You have to want it. And that's where we're at right now politically with the world, is that we keep waiting for this one random person just to come out of the sky and just to rescue us from all these problems. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's like, you have to, the people of the nations around the world have to want to change. Like, these people that are in power right now, they are just as fallible as everybody else. You know, as we've seen, they can also get taken down by a gunshot. You can take these people down. You can vote them out of office. You can disrupt their economic status. You can do a lot of things to change the world. And I think that's something that has been disappointing with a lot of the protesting that's been happening in the last like 10, 15 years. Like, the Occupy movement was a massive waste. That was such a disappointment to me, to a lot of people. But
it feels like it has similar energy to what this book had.
Yeah, it felt like the public finally got it. Like, oh, they don't care. They don't care. Like, just recently, a couple days ago, I don't know if you guys heard this. The CEO of JP Morgan, what the hell is that guy's name? Jamie Dimon. Was this audio leaked out? I don't know who leaked it out. It's on YouTube. I'll try to find it. And he was basically screaming and ranting about people doing remote work, saying like, oh, you're being lazy and you're not doing your jobs. Like, are you serious? Are you serious about people not coming to the office and just doing their work from home? Like, what? You're still making tons of money. Like, what is the problem? It's if you want to get pissed at this guy, there's another reason to get pissed at this guy. But yeah, it's the fact that also, another thing that's kind of a problem in this comic you don't see much of the American public.
No. Again,
That's another
the class
issue I
war
have.
issue doesn't really become a thing in it all. Like the classes aren't at war with each other, and so you're not really seeing the American public as a class.
Maybe it would have happened in the last 6 episodes or last 6 issues. You never know.
That's true.
Maybe he was working up to it.
They say the American public is pissed, but it's represented in just captions. It's never really like, you don't see protests outside the White House or anything like that. It's like, we're told this, we're never shown it. So yeah, it feels like a juvenile writing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh right, I forgot that there's supposed to be people in this book.
to a certain degree. Yeah, so it's a complicated book to talk about because it is, I think, rather fun when you're reading it, and it has the same fucking vibe as American Idiot, the
yeah,
the album, like, and the track specifically, and the musical, all of them. But it's the same thing. It's that post 9/11, like, fuck man, like, all kind
we're gonna take down the man.
Right. And so it's very much American Idiot, but a comic version of that. And it's cool in that regard, but it's not more complicated than that. In fact, it's arguably less complicated than what American Idiot, the total album, ended up being, especially when you get into the musical.
American Idiot feels like it's poetry. This feels like it's what is this?
A log line.
Yeah, a log line. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I do really appreciate that, and I really enjoy it, and it stuck with me. And like Jesse, it stuck with you also. Like when you suggested talking about it, I was like, yeah, obviously we're going to talk about this at some point. And like, this was always a comic that was on my short list to talk about on here. And the fact that I never did like a Superman analog thread about the American is kind of wild, because like, this is one of the characters that kind of just cemented with me, where it's just like, yeah, Superman types, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the first comics I actually picked up when I got back into comics in 2008, when they did the reprint of this. This is one of the first things I picked up. I picked up Alan Moore's From Hell was the first thing I picked up when I got back into comics. Which, by the way, they found out who Jack the Ripper was. They just figured it out.
Oh, shit.
It was some barber. It was just some guy. It's like all that work Alan Moore did. Sorry, man. Alan Moore would just be sitting at home, just like smoking weed, be like, fuck! All that work for nothing.
I had a theory.
It was wrong. I also picked up Garth Ennis's Preacher as my other thing, and then Brian K. Vaughan's Why the Last Man. I burned through all those real quick. Yeah. Why the Last Man is a comic that didn't age particularly well. That's one where I'm like, there's some stuff in here that didn't age.
And that is why the adaptation didn't quite stick the landing when...
I didn't watch it. I heard it was bad. I was like, they tried to make that for like 15 years, and then it comes out and it's like...
I know. Like, it just lost the vigor, and it was too late by the time it came out. Anyway, again, things that are too late by the time they came out, when we get into, like, the first 3 issues came out perfectly for the series, and then the back 3 didn't, and then more wouldn't be the right time anymore. So,
yeah. I mean, if you want a good companion piece to this, The Authority,
good
companion piece. Yeah, the Ellis run, or even the Miller run, which Miller run's okay. Another companion piece is Garth Ennis's 303, if you want to be more angry. That is probably Ennis at his angriest. That was for sure the most brutal thing he's ever written. I don't think he'll ever top that. Even Cross doesn't top that, because it's about a fictional assassination of George Bush, and it's yeah, you could never adapt that. That's one you can never, ever, ever adapt, because considering we're going into a political administration where they're saying they're going to censor art now.
Hooray.
Yay.
We'll see what we get.
Christ.
Great. The first thing that gets cut down when fascist dictatorships start up is creativity, artwork, expression. I gotta move out of here, man.
I know. It's so bleak, just like discussing the future.
I know. I know. Like I said, this is a downer episode. I know if you were just looking for Superman stuff, this was not the episode for you.
No. But hey, this is a good comic. It's a fun comic to read, and feels like you're like doing like political work in your head, just at least like thinking about America's roles for things and how it would, interact with like superhumans and so forth. On that note, Jesse, thank you for bringing this comic. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you about it.
You're welcome. I appreciate talking about this.
Where can people find you and follow you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Hardcore B Shots. I'm also occasionally on Instagram reposting shit just for like the 20 people that care. So that's just my name on Instagram. I barely post on Facebook at this point because fuck Zuckerberg. X off of that, gone. Because fuck Musk, he's an asshole. President Musk. We can firmly state at this point that it is not Donald Trump as the president. Musk is the president. That recent interview with him in the Oval Office when his son was like, "You're not the president. You should leave." Where did he get that from? 3-year-olds don't have an original thought in their head.
Yeah.
Welcome to fascism, folks. You're going to be here a while.
The wild part is that with podcast time, this episode's going to come out in like 3 months, and like all of these references are going to be like a little old. And I hope they're antiquated, but like I hope they're not timely references. Frankly, it's like Jesus Christ.
It's like every day. It's like, oh, what do you do now?
Anywho, Jmike, where can people find you and follow you?
You can find me over on the Blue Sky at j5.bluesky.social. I am there, mostly. I'm shutting down everything else because I'm kind of over social media at this point.
Right? That's how it feels. Like I can't. Like I'm not shutting down the social medias for anything else. Like
it's not going to
you're
be
not
there.
there very often.
Right? Exactly. Like I go there to post the thing I need to post, and then I move on. And like Blue Sky, I actually go to, which is why you can find me on Blue Sky at ksakin.bsky.social or whatever the whole string that follows, or go to our Discord server where we actually have like a really fun community that we're building there. There is a link on our website. All over the website you can find links. Come to our Discord server. It's a great time. Or find us on the Blue Ski. It's the best we're gonna do at the moment. That's the honest truth. We're all really tired. This comic makes us really feel it, frankly.
Yeah, like I said, if you need some anger, get unleashed. Oh, another thing I would recommend: Garth Ennis's run of the Punisher, his Max line. If you want to see some CEOs get taken out, that's the one.
See,
that's
the mood we're in tonight. For everyone, like just
we'll talk about a more positive one with the pro next time I'm on. We'll do that. Where we can talk about the 8-hand job.
Yep. Anywho, Jesse, thank you again for coming on.
You're welcome.
We have a couple people that we need to thank who have joined the CPOV Media Patreon at the executive producer level. So these people get a shout out at the end of every episode of our shows. And so I wanted to thank Micah McCaw, Carter Hallett, Sean Muir, Lee Greger, Memento Young, Logan Crowley, Joe Mastropiero, Casey and Nancy Aiken, Adam Samter, and Keith Lettinen. So thank you so much to them for being at the executive producer level on our Patreon. But honestly, come join the Patreon because it's a good time. I am doing a lot of stuff for both paid members, but also for patrons at the free tier. So that's worth checking out, and I would highly recommend it. Please do. And otherwise, yeah, thank you for all the patrons.
Everyone, thank you for checking out the show. I would say check out. You know what? I'm gonna plug Movie Struck right now, which is our editor's podcast. She is awesome. Sophia is super cool and does a great job bringing awesome guests to talk about cool movies on her show, Movie Struck. So I'm plugging that one. And yeah, then circle back here to our next episode. But until then, stay super, man.
Men of Steel is a Certain POV production. Our hosts are Jmike Folson and Case Aiken. The show is edited by Sophia Ricciardi. Our logo is by Chris Batista, and episode art is by Case Aiken. Our theme is by Geoff Moonen.
Hey, Nerf herders.
You sure you want to go with that?
Hey, everyone.
There we go. More inviting.
Have you ever had a movie that you really wanted to love, but something holds you back?
Or one that you did love in spite of a flaw?
Well, I'm Case Aiken.
And I'm Sam Alisea.
And on Another Pass, we sit down with cool guests to look at movies that we find fascinating.
But flawed.
And we try to imagine what could have been done when they were made to give them that little push.
We're not experts. We just believe in criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Sure.
So come take another pass at some movies with us.
And every now and then, we can celebrate movies that did it on their own, too.
You can find us at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pass it on.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.